Hello, viewers. I'm SB,
And I am Amabel.
and welcome back to the Thunderdome here in Endless Legend. I think it is time for some Urkin on Urkin violence. I'm gonna relocate Fakir back up to here so that he's definitely in reinforcement range of the battle. I mean, there's a question as to whether we should just have Fakir uproot and charge and have him engage so that he's in on the first turn, and then our army filters in over the reinforcement slots, versus having the army engage and having Fakir join from the back of the battle. But that way we have 7 units on the table right away.
Yeah.
It's probably better to just have Fakir lead, given the very low health of the units that these enemies have remained. I mean, I don't know. I guess that's an argument for both. I don't know. I don't know what's right. Also, the game is helpfully reminding us a new Empire plan will be unlocked in 6 turns. Maybe make sure you got the influence that you need to do that. We are, for the first time, going to actually check and see. This is the wrong button. Simulate. Okay. We definitely want to keep these 2 bonuses, right?
Mm-hmm.
This smooths out a lot of noise. Now, unfortunately, the values we're seeing here are based on our current number of cities. And there's no way to simulate what this would look like with a different number of cities, but we are certainly going to have at least one more city. But that first settler is almost to the place. So, this goes 100, 300, and we currently have 5. How many cities do we have? We currently have 5. Okay. So the scaling then is 20 and 60. So we're going to add another. Yeah, we can afford this with 6 cities.
Okay.
We can even afford like this at 6 cities, I believe, just to give us the ability to push dust. I'm less inclined to bother taking the military, like the unit cost reduction. I don't know how much more military we're going to need to build. I don't expect Purple to actually go to war with us. Maybe that's foolishness. I don't know.
Only one way to find out.
So Dallas is only at 75 approval, and it has a population of 11 people. I'm trying to figure out like whether it's worth popping some other boosters that don't really do anything just to try to get our happiness levels up. But like the core problem is just that Dells has a lot of people in it and it doesn't have a central market yet. So I think we're just going to let that work itself out. I certainly don't want to spend dust pushing. Because we want to use our dust to buy units and be able to do this thing more quickly. Maybe I shouldn't be representing my intent so aggressively here. I suppose there's an argument for that. He was like, hey, your wine ran out. Yeah, definitely rerun the wine. We need the wine very badly. All right, so we didn't get as much build done on him as I was hoping. We only have like 1648 dust, and it would be 2082 to get him to come out next turn. We could, again, sell resources for a quick dust boost. We do have access to the market. Glass steel doesn't sell very well, only 3.9 each. You can see we get much better prices for like adamantium. Yeah, adamantium's a lot more valuable, and we still have way more than we're going to need. So we'll sell a couple lots of adamantium. Did I leave us like just, I left us 70 dust short. We will sell one more lot of adamantium to the market. And you can see when we do this, it actually does go on the market, and that changes the per unit price. And so the stuff other players have to buy is actually the stuff that people have sold. All right, so that's going to get us movement on our faction quest and also a new group of units to rush to the front. I'm going to keep the army up here for the moment just so nothing weird happens. They don't decide to like counterattack Fakir. All right, now the question of where to settle this unit into Regis. The the Hyperium deposit has 2 anomalies right next to it, and it's on the water. I think that's probably the hit. Like, there is some value in settling closer to this ocean region that we would like to control. But the rare metal foundry that we researched so that we can pull this stuff out of the ground is a building that has to be built. You get it for free if you build a district on top of the strategic resource. It's just part of the built-in district infrastructure. So I'm going to put us down right here so that we get that immediately. We don't have to waste any time or resources actually building it. This is going to flip in 3 turns, provided that we don't somehow lose control of Undand, and it doesn't seem like anybody is interested in disrupting us. Probably nobody has any vision down there, as far as we can tell. Everybody's pretty far away. So, let's see about putting this attack together. Actually, also, let's see what the next step of the faction quest is, because we might need to use these troops for something in particular. John Port the Shadow is continuing to level up. So he's in Dells, and I think it is worth looking at Dells. Okay. It's worth looking at Dells because he has access to a skill that increases the production rate of extractors in his region. So we could get Mithrite out of the ground more efficiently if we take that. Plus 0.5 resources per turn, as opposed to just continuing to dredge more dust out of the river. I think we're going to prioritize moving up here. It may be right to move up anyway, even if this wasn't going to actually get us any benefit, because the skill at the top of the thing here is a percentage dust boost, and this is the city that has our dust transmuter. Right, so it has the very large flat amount of dust. And then I think we are going to prioritize building a mithrite extractor here. Sadly, we did not have the foresight to build this city on top of the resource we didn't know was here yet. Okay, so that's got you dealt with. Infiltrated in the city of Yarrow, pink. I guess we now have a pink spy. Or a spy on pink. Yeah, they haven't managed to quite eliminate red yet, but they have continued to expand while continuing to conquer. Red's going to be out of the game any minute now. If we wanted to move our spy over to purple, we had to have a unit get close enough to one of purple's cities to have vision of it.
Okay.
Which might be worth doing. Okay, the Morgawr ascent continues. They search for pliable living tools that will do their bidding, for as long as the tool survives. There is a power the Morgawr call totems that they can use to dominate, enslave, and burn the life out of other creatures, etc. Defeat 2 enemy armies with armies exclusively composed of units cursed by a totem. Reinforcing friendly armies don't count. Boy, what does reinforcing friendly armies don't count? Like it's safe to reinforce with a friendly army? That's okay.
Yeah,
that doesn't
are they
break
using
it.
reinforcing as an adjective or as a verb?
It's a little not ideal, yeah. So first of all, I was gonna pull this mastermind out of here anyway. But secondly, I don't know if the hero of the army being Morgawr is going to break this. So I'm going to separate the hero out as well, actually. And then we're going to... I know what I was just saying about, the Harmonite not necessarily wearing the stuff, but for the faction quest.
Yeah.
If we wanted to throw these on here, the retrofit cost of the army would be 90 dust, and of course the strategics, which we have in bundles. So, okay. An army made entirely of minor faction units equipped with totems. Let's fuck some shit up.
Now, does that Urkin count as an enemy army?
Yeah, I mean, the Urkin... yes, it's literally an enemy army. In what sense would it not count?
I don't know. I don't know if Urkins are armies.
Everything is an army.
Okay.
Oh, there's a fortress down here. Huh. A
Neat.
fortress with a cargo nexus facility. Yeah, weird. I guess we'll see what the deal is with that. Yeah, you get over here, and are there any boosters that we want to run now? Because we're about to change the cost of our boosters. I don't think so. I don't think any of this could matter. Yeah, we're not going to be able to buy ourselves enough material to run any other kind of boosters right now. I think we can just put the city down and start gathering resources immediately. Okay, we're going to need to establish some basic stuff real quick. Food's important. Morale's important. Let's start with the big food building and the mill foundry. And then we have 3 Herna villages that we need to convert, and we will totally get there. This stuff all needs to get done, but it doesn't all need to get done right this second. I do want this army to stay nearby. Like, we can still show up. We won't be able to launch the attack this turn, though. Okay. You obviously need to create some Imperial funding. And then we should put the Center for Mineralogy in this city. We're not going to use it right now. We're going to stay focused probably on industry for the moment to keep pumping out improvement buildings. But there will be a point where it makes sense to flip this city over into just like raw science output mode. Part of the reason we researched that technology was so that we had the ability to do that. And then up here in the capital, I think it probably makes sense to build one here as well. We have access to a limited number of these, so we do want to be a little cautious with them. But Forney is definitely a good target. And then this fellow is headed to this region, but we got to make sure we're going around. There's still an unconquered village here, just putting out neutral armies. I should probably do something about that at some point. Okay. And we need to get on our next research. So we have a couple of interesting options here. For one thing, there is a tech at this level that just ups the defense of all of your units. That's something. There is a next level logistics tech that will expand our available army size. There is another minor faction assimilation slot. Can be handy. We can negotiate. We can learn the ability to negotiate proper alliances, which hopefully will stick a little bit better than the peace treaties did. Or, if we're really afraid of future war, we can research the ability to make some weapons out of some advanced materials and get like some really strong murdering gear. I guess there's there's quite a lot of food available in the food techs this era as well. You know what? Food technologies, isolation sciences. That'll help our cities in the volcanic regions quite a lot, because that's a food technology that's not based on pulling food from the land.
Okay.
All right. When we were at peace, I definitely would not have been allowed to do this. But now that you have taken us to Cold War... Says I would have to make a declaration of war. I believe that's correct. Red's finally dead. You know what we're going to do?
What?
Everybody else is able to attack my stuff. It seems like a declaration of war shouldn't be necessary. Everybody else is able to attack my Urkin in my territory. Mm-hmm. There's a rule here that I'm not clear on. But we could black spot this dude.
Okay.
And just make him able to be attacked by everybody. And you should have been nice to me. He will have a response to that. You submit us to your will. We see that we must accept. But this may change, yeah. Okay, so he had another army just inside of reinforcement range. Interesting. He saw what we were doing, and his plan was not move the Urkin away, it was move defenders into position. Well, we're going to move Fakir up the reinforcement list. He should come in first.
No.
And yeah, I guess we're going to have a real fight over this. So, Chaka is the ranged Urkin. The other two are melee fighters, but Chaka has a long range attack, and so can stay back there in the back corner and use troops flooding in through the reinforcement positions to prevent us from getting to her. In theory, we'll see how well that works out in practice.
I do like the amount of tactics that are involved with this.
I definitely want my Urkins up close here. I want to try to corral these lice as best I can. And then, yeah, I don't actually know how well equipped that army is. This might turn out to be a huge error. I guess we're going to find out. Oh, they elected not to reinforce.
Oh, okay.
Well, never mind. We win. I thought for sure that army was up there because their plan was to reinforce. You can see the Harmonite just effortlessly tanking huge amounts of damage because they're terrifying.
I appreciate a breath weapon. Like, I knew it was ranged, but if you had said breath weapon, I would have gotten a lot more excited immediately.
Well, I mean, of course, it's a ranged kaiju. What else would it be?
I mean, Mothra doesn't really have a breath weapon.
I guess that's fair. That's true. You can see these guys running forward and dealing just horrifying amounts of damage. Both of those attacks were what the Urkin does, plus about 70%. I love Ice Wargs. Ice Wargs are such horrifying units. They're so fast, and their damage is so high. And that did, in fact, count. That was 1 of 2. Let's take a quick look at your troops. So I'm seeing 82 attack, 102 defense, which compares somewhat favorably to us, except, you know, numbers-wise, we do have bodies. And they've used all their movement for the turn. Okay, well, I think we know who the second army is going to be.
Okay.
This is what's happening now. We're going to fuck up our economy temporarily by having Fakir uproot and walk over here. All right, and you guys get to lead that charge.
I love watching them move.
And Chaka, you know, you just stay back there. We got you, friend. We won't let anybody hurt you anymore. We take much better care of our buddies.
I'm gonna put this out there.
Okay.
Okay, if anybody from what is the name of the Amplitude? Anyone in Amplitude is watching. If you make plushes of these Urkin, I will buy them.
Honestly, I'm sure you're not the only one. Okay, this fortress. Generosity and loyalty are traits that are highly prized at this fortress. They challenge you to prove both, as they are at a critical phase in building their interceptor ships, and their supplies and personnel are low. If you can give them dust for their construction and wait for them to finish, they promise that in return they will give you, quote, something useful. And that is a very suspicious way to write that. What do you reckon? I'm going to give them the dust. 200 dust is not that much for us right now, but like, what kind of nonsense you reckon we're going to find when we open this?
I don't know. I really have no...
Okay, no nonsense. It's just exactly what they said. But something useful in quotation marks, like the English language implication of that is strongly ironic. I don't know if that was what the developers intended, if that was what they were thinking about. I'm going to catspaw this army. Oh, Jesus. Why are there so many boarding vessels over here? Do combat. Okay. great. Because I don't want to lose this, so we're going to just have those armies shred each other. And we have the influence necessary to do that while maintaining the rest of the stuff we're up to and still hitting our empire plan. Right, the simulation has now become, it's 720. If we wanted to go a little harder on this and get extra science from our districts, it goes all the way up to 1115, or it goes all the way up to 1260, and we have 3 turns left. Like, we'll be able to afford that for sure. Now, obviously, like, plus 50% food on cities is something that would be really great for us to have, but there's no universe where we're making 2400 influence. You have to be in a whole different sort of quantum of influence generation before you can consider that sort of thing. All right, and this settler is headed for Render.
All right.
We're gonna get access to our Hyperion mines. Yeah, things are gonna be good, and purple is gonna be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah,
Okay.
you generally don't want to end up like with a whole city or province surrounded by another polity. That's not.
So we're going to start combat just as quickly as we can click here. Remember, simultaneous turns means that if we don't do something, he's going to run. Oh, winter. Okay, that's semi-problematic. We're still doing this, but it does change some things. So one of the core things about the Alai is that they have 2 different forms. You may notice all of these units that were predominantly white in coloration have become black. They have changed into their winter forms, which have completely different. They have significantly different stats and capacities, and that's a little scary. Generally speaking, the winter forms are more the summer forms are more survival focused. They have a lot more health, more defense, more regen. The winter forms are more offense focused. And that's like they experience a stat change, but also each one of them has a capacity that changes function based on the season. All right, we did in fact gain control of that fortress, and as such, control of that ocean. Undand is now ours, which is cool. Science facility or science stockpiles going to be very useful for us. We're going to cat's paw these guys and run them into those guys at the start of the next turn. Just remove as many enemies as possible, and then let this fortress capture itself naturally. I'm going to go grab ruins, I guess. This seems like a very normal, non-hubristic thing to do. And with the coming of the winter has come this quest. Aurigan winters are feared for their length and intensity. Much of an empire's effort during the other seasons must go into planning for winter's arrival or mitigating its effects. This time, why not try something different? Consider making winter a time of festivities, a time when families and communities come together, a time when shared values and experiences are celebrated. Enough of these dark moods that mirror the dark skies. Perhaps it might be better to shower your hardworking citizens in luxuries, giving them a bit of cheer to last through these frozen months. So fire some luxury boosters, have luxury boosters active, not even fire new boosters. So I think we're going to get this. We have 3 boosters active right now. I think this is just going to reward us next turn. Also, I sure wish it was winter.
Oh, like outside.
Yes, like outside of the real world.
Yeah,
I'm so looking forward to winter.
You are at your full power in the winter.
So as we sort of knew from the altar, the new winter effect is -1 movement on flying units, +1 movement on cavalry units.
Sure, that's
that does affect the battle a little bit because these seekers are cavalry, as are the ice wargs. But it's not going to be a huge difference.
I think this is still it's still in our favor.
Oh, hugely. Yeah, we're not going to bring Chaka, because if Chaka were to get reduced to 0 HP, I believe his allegiance would flip again. You just stay home and heal.
Okay,
Let's do this thing.
That makes sense, and that's why you brought the other Urkin in.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what? You know what I am not a big fan of?
What's that?
Close victories. It is my opinion that you should win as hard as possible all of the time. There's a line in a Star Wars book that I read when I was much younger about how the Empire refuses to engage in, like, part of the deal with the war between the Rebel Alliance and the Empire was that the Empire refused to engage in any battle where they didn't have at least a 5-to-1 numerical advantage.
Mm-hmm.
That was like one of their main space battle doctrines. And I think that was supposed to be in the narrative, that was supposed to be like a weakness that the rebels were able to take advantage of. But when I read that, I was like, oh no, that makes sense.
No, hugely.
Yeah. Why trade units off here and there when you can just only win big and just not fight everywhere else?
You know, something that comes up a lot in some of my design work, some of my historical game, battle game design work is, often in some of the more operational games where there is a tactical component, you don't want to accept battle with equal forces. You want to only accept battle when you have more forces, and obviously you don't want to give battle with less forces.
Yeah,
so
but I'm talking not just advantage, I'm talking massive advantage.
Yeah, no.
So notice here, we have a lot of enemy units that have a higher initiative than the Urkin does. So they are really going to be in control of how this battlefield is shaped. We're going to see these cavalry units with 6 move speed. This one is we did successfully wall this one off with our cavalry. The 2 that are over here though are really going to have their pick of targets.
Yeah.
And it's hard to know what they're going to do, and as such where they're going to be when we start getting turns. So the best we can really do here is just give kind of like general orders. Like, I'm gonna have these 2 try to focus on tacking this guy down. They still have pretty high defense, honestly, but you'll notice these units are not equipped for offense at all.
Yeah.
He's put defensive gear on them mostly. I don't really know what the play is aside from that. Their leader here is a ranged unit. Is going to stand back and try to do archery stuff. So I'm going to have at least one of the Harmonites trying to break through to him. But again, we have just extremely poor control over what's going on in this battle. Yeah, that makes sense that unit is in a lot of trouble in the position it's in, but it also is locking our Urkin down and making it hard for us to bring that force to bear.
Do you have much familiarity with odds-based combat results tables in war games?
Not really.
So they're based on like ratio of you have combat points for each side. And you add it up, going up the ratio, and there are columns. One, like a 1-to-1 attack, a 2-to-1 attack, 3-to-1 attack, and 3-to-1 is usually a breaking point where like you are more likely to have positive successes. And in some of the older ones, once you get to like 5-to-1 or 6-to-1 odds, the victory becomes inevitable. And that's one of the problems with those. One of the things that you try to, when you're working in that space, you try to introduce more fuzziness, more baffles, more things that aren't deterministic. And I think one thing that this system does really well, having that lack of control, having that initiative system insert some uncertainty in it, it reduces it from a mathematical equation to something that has a lot more of a sense of narrative and and I really appreciate that.
All right, their line has crumbled. Really, all they have left at this point is ranged troops and the battle is over, essentially. Unfortunately for them, like, as much as they were very, like, health and ranged focused units, they just never had the stats that would let them stand up to the amount of offense that we're generating.
So I have a question. Is it possible for them, when they see the battle was lost, to, retreat and count their losses? Or is it always one side's going to be eliminated completely?
No. Both of those things are not correct.
Okay.
There is no way to retreat, like, from battle. There's no, like, stand here to get out. But any units, each battle is only 6 rounds long, and any units that are alive at the end of the battle are alive. So you can retreat in the sense of just, like, staying away from the enemy until the 6 round timer runs out. And that is absolutely a thing. That is the thing that we've seen in this game, in this series, even, I believe.
Okay, I probably just forgot.
We had a battle or two end that way because, early in the game, units sometimes don't have the stats necessary to get the job done.
Yeah, it's been a while since we saw something like that, I think.
Yeah, so you can have battles where effectively one force retreats by just, like, disengaging and keeping space back. But, like, fast-moving units, just as in real life, fast-moving units really reduce the amount of survivors you get from such a thing. Like,
yeah,
nobody's getting away from the ice works.
You almost need to put other units up as, like, a delaying action, as a rear guard.
Well, it depends, right? Like if you're fighting a force of Harmonites, it's very reasonable to just back off. But yeah, with them having their cavalry and us having our cavalry, that was definitely going to be someone is going all the way to the ground kind of conflict. And indeed, we have defeated 2 enemy armies, with armies exclusively composed of units cursed by a totem. We saw some death. We lost some people.
We're really blitzing through the faction.
Yeah, we're doing an alright job here. We're keeping a good pace. Morgawr is pleased. The slaves worked well, like falling stars, burning bright, then dying. Next step is harder step. To take on the works of the jailers, dominate their creations, Morgawr must first be able to take on other empires. Morgawr is satisfied, but never content. Morgawr knows that any opposing force is a risk. Any empire, a jailer. Based Morgawr. Morgawr schemes. Mind, body, dust. These things are linked, interdependent, can be manipulated. If strong enough, can interchange. Body becomes dust. Mind becomes mine. Others are gullible. Others will do Morgawr work. Will be glad to gain dust for killing Morgawr enemies. Others are easy to control. Easy to destroy. So we must maintain a black spot against pink for 10 turns, or make sure that it is destroyed. And if we do that, we will receive a technology that lets us build tier 3 weapons of titanium and glass steel. So those will be pretty powerful even now, despite the fact that that's a low... when I say pretty powerful, I mean they'll probably be more powerful than, like, the iron and dust stuff that we have access to. But they will be pretty powerful relative to that stuff, but not as powerful as things made of the better strategics. But also, it's just another technology, and so it gets us one step closer to being able to research the endgame tax.
So when I was looking at that box, I didn't realize the pink name was there, because the way it...
Yeah.
I couldn't see the text. Like, why is that big space there?
They're feeling triumphant because they have taken oceans and stuff. It's true, they did do that. Here's the thing. I'm only allowed to maintain one black spot at a time, I think. I would remove your black spot. What would you give me? Oh, you hardly even have anything. 30 dust? There's 30 dust in your treasury? You big idiot. It's not even fun to be at war with you. You know what? Fucking give me your pearls. And some of your gold. But I'm taking your pearls mostly because you're the Alayi and this is the price you pay. Okay. They were happy to get the black spot off. This will be in your interest as well. In time, your opinion will change. Yeah. All right. So, we are currently at 1,024 influence. If we want to maintain our Empire plan and also put out a black spot this turn, we're going to have to reconfigure some things. We're going to have to put influence generation forward. But we do have the ability to do that. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna lock this up now because we want to keep this rolling as fast as possible. So pink is now black spotted. I don't think anything's really gonna come of that. I think pink's neighbors are too weak to really threaten them. And so now our settler is in position to put down Randare before the Empire plan, but I think we're going to intentionally delay until after.
Okay.
Because it's getting a little close on the old Empire plan here. All right, you guys head down this way. So we can no longer fight purple. I mean, we're Cold War. We can fight them in neutral territory. We can't pick on their stuff in their territory anymore. I'm going to just continue laying down districts, I guess. So let's see. We can reach up toward more anomalies, I suppose. Yeah, I feel like that's probably a thing worth doing. Especially like with all of our upgrades now, you can see like any tile that has science on it is so valuable for us. And this gets us building up and out, gets us more in the direction of tiles that have science on them. You know what else I'm going to do? I'm going to build the husbandry center here, which gives us massive bonus food output for citizens attached to food. And we're just going to like really pump food in this so that when it comes time to go hard science mode, the population of this city is as large as possible. Because it's kind of finished all of the other stuff it needs to build. We're in a really good spot as far as a lot of that stuff goes. Science buildings for sure. The thing is, this city also needs to build more boroughs, right? It desperately wants to level up its docks, and it's going to need more population to do that. So let's focus population there as well. And then I think in Forany, maybe. Stuff of importance is not really going on here. Like maybe we go devote this city to influence production. That'll get us to 181. What was the cost of our intended plan? Why was I thinking we needed over 1,000? Was there some experience? I would like to do this, is why.
Yeah.
So 1260. We're going to gain influence twice. So we need a little bit more juice than that. I mean, because of the Andom's skill, this impassioned preacher thing, +1 influence per citizen working influence is actually a much larger amount relative to, base production than any of the other boosts. So this city is actually like extraordinarily efficient at producing influence. If we just put everybody on this city on influence for one turn, I think that'll get us where we're going. That city is extremely well set to do that. Okay. And so we've got the timer counting up here. 10 turns of black spot. Now, people are able to remove the black spot from themselves. You can just buy it off with influence. The influence cost is based on the amount of time that it's been on you, so it gets cheaper over time. Oh, right, I forgot to actually... I was going to tend to that ocean. Well, whatever. We'll deal with it in a second. So it may be the case that they remove it before the 10 turns. We may have to reapply it. And reapplying it to somebody who has just removed it is very expensive. There's a significant gain in the influence cost. And you have to let it decay over time. And I think I am going to grab the other food technology here. And yeah, we're just going to knock the slice out real quick because I think these are still for that quest.
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, me too. I think I'm going to keep my, my injured units just kind of, as far away as possible. I don't actually mind if this mastermind dies. We're just in attack range here. Well, you're going to get to go first, though. 3-tile move doesn't actually get you adjacency to anybody else. I guess we'll just start you here. Okay. I'm going to have you elect not to participate in the combat this turn, and there should just be one turn of this. I didn't realize I had Chaka in reinforcement range. I would not have brought Chaka. Okay, we're good. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
Chaka gets us 6/10 of an XP. Fantastic. All right, back to our own territory. You are getting back into Yust and resettling. Oh, we should actually look at Chaka's Urkin menu, too. Let's handle this first. So we're being attacked by some very badly damaged boarding vessels. I can't actually, because they're so fast, I can't... I guess if I go here... Yeah, they just barely can't reach me. Our reinforcement will come in on the other flag, and we'll just try to burn them down.
Okay.
This should go pretty well for us, I think. But always, always there is the die roll, and it feels so much more present in water combat because all of the units' stat values are so much closer together. It's harder to get a really, really decisive advantage in ocean combat.
I mean, as much as I think from having watched it, I think the ocean combat is one of the weaker things, because the thing about ship-to-ship combat is quite different than land combat.
Yeah.
It has different rhythms and different rules, and that's not really here at all. And I understand it's a fantasy thing, but also it'd be cool that I love some fucking ship-to-ship combat, master and commander bullshit. So, but the fact that it's hard to get a decisive victory, especially when you have roughly equal forces, that's completely in line.
A decisive advantage, something that will let you feel
Okay.
yeah, I'm definitely going to win this
Yeah.
cleanly. Your active aggression during Cold War is as contemptible as the profaner's lies. Hey, man, you precipitated that. All right, this fortress has been captured. Was it captured by Blue? It was. They have taken control of Atayu. That's fine. I'm not feeling too concerned about that. Would it surprise you to hear that the naval combat was not in the game initially? It was added in an expansion.
It doesn't surprise. I mean, so was the Morgawr added in an expansion?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. No, that doesn't surprise me necessarily, but definitely feels less developed. And I'll be interested to see what they do in... What's the other game of theirs? I know we're going to play Humankind.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be interested to see if they do anything different with it there.
I totally forgot about this quest, but we did this, so here's 30 titanium. We have so many quests. I'm not paying active attention to all of them. All right, let's send this force down to negotiate with the minor faction around Regis. I would like to get these villages converted,
Yeah.
This is a boat that we are just trying to get rid of. We'll dash it against a fortress next turn. Okay, looks like there's definitely nothing else going on in this ocean region, so we're just going to have control of this pretty soon. Our first science stockpile was generated, and I don't know that I see... I mean... I guess... Well, no, this gives a plus science effect on cities, as does this. Yeah, I guess there's no reason not to fire this now. Like, 1600 science, we're never going to be in a position where this is generating more or less science than it is now, because almost all things that affect your science output affected at the city level, not at the empire level. Now that we have made our empire plan, you may have noticed I left the inhabitants of this city on influence and extra turn, just to give us a little bit of cushion, so that when we spent, we weren't spending all the way down to 0. In case we do need to do something.
You're so smart.
Now that we've done that, we're going to uproot Chaka and take this region over in a more traditional way. So, we have right here a spiral rock peel, which is very cool looking, and it generates 10 approval from how cool looking it is. And also some Mycordia, which generate 10 approval from everybody being high all the time. So it feels like this is approximately the place to put that city down. Obviously, there would be some benefit to putting it down directly on top of the Hyperium deposit, but a city can only work tiles that are in the region that the city center is in. So in this case, that would be a very poor yielding,
Okay.
We definitely want to do it over here. All right, so let's talk about Chaka and Chaka's whole deal. I clicked on Fakir. Let's talk about Chaka and Chaka's whole deal. I can't see Chaka's. Chaka doesn't have this button until Chaka is resettled. But we can look at Chaka's menu in here. So here are the skills that affect Chaka. First of all, there is an overlap. For 25 Quicksilver, we can teach them Urkin Power. While Urkin is rooted to a region, your own and allied cities in neighboring regions produce plus 50 approval. And enemy cities in neighboring regions produce minus 50 approval. Just the sort of the raw terror of the Urkin. That's really something we need to get some Quicksilver. And then what else do you have? While Urkin is rooted to a region, own and allied cities in neighboring regions produce plus 50%. Oh my god. Chaka, where you been all my life? Monstrous Watchtower. Urkins under your control have plus 5 vision range. Yeah. And while Urkin is in army form, allied units in the same region have plus 20% initiative and 2 movement. The Twitch Aura. Chaka emanates a natural pheromone that can allow sufficiently prepared allies' nervous systems to be sped up. Yo. We're going to unlock all of Chaka's abilities here.
Yeah.
And then we're going to Chaka's going to take Fakir's spot. Because generating a huge amount of bonus science in all these cities is way better for us than generating a huge amount of bonus dust. So what are we going to do with Fakir? Fakir can come down here and settle down in Ewith and still be providing some buffs here, but also, keeping an eye on purple. I don't think that's necessarily bad.
That sounds good.
I shouldn't have uprooted him. What I should have done was have him burrow. I am going to have him reroute. You're going to walk over here, and then he'll burrow from there to here, and we'll settle it next turn. That was a little clumsy. Okay, Dells has finished the Mithrite Extractor. Wonderful news. And now Dells can get Imperial funding. There are a lot of tiles in this city, and a lot of them have science on them. So this is going to be a huge amount of extra resources. We've only been building them in our very, very built up cities, but you can see these late game buildings, the industry costs are creeping high enough that even in a pretty good city like Dells, that's still 9 turns of industry that we're looking at. Stuff gets expensive. Things really, really, really scale up in the late game, and you have to be doing a good job of scaling up alongside them. Okay, Render. We need to you get some basics established. You will benefit from seed storage eventually. We're definitely gonna be doing a little bit of buyout work here. A plow factory, a public granary. So 467, 1334. The seed storage is the one that gets the big flat bonus during summer. But I think at this point, it is still worth buying it even during winter, because we're adding such a large amount of flat food to the city with the plow factory that the plus 15% is worth having immediately.
Okay.
The central market's important, and I think that's a good start. Also, you know what's important? The Hyperium extractor, and the Mithrite extractor, and rebuilding this busted-ass Silix village. And this busted-ass Silix village. So this region is a Silic region, is a Harmonite region. So we've just captured 2 additional villages.
Okay.
For these guys, so that's going to power up their assimilation effect. We're going to be getting even more free resources per turn out of our extractors, which is a big deal. That's meaningful. We got pretty lucky with the way that our minor factions are spread out. We got an opportunity to double up on regions with several of our good minor factions. And yeah, I think once we have Chaka properly slotted in here, we're going to see our science go into overdrive. You'll notice we are generating a large amount of notifications every turn now.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and get you out of there. And you can take up that very slot.
It's a very 4X-y thing, isn't it?
A large amount of notifications.
Notifications late in the game,
yeah, an increasing amount of notifications over the course of the game. Yeah, I guess so. So we did finish nutrition chemistry. We're moving into some regions that have some like earlier tier luxury resources that are valuable to us. Things like the Quicksilver and the Moonleaf and the Titan Bones. And we didn't bother to pick up this tech back then because we didn't have any regions where it would have been relevant. But I think we should grab it. And while we're looking back, there is a science tech here that we didn't bother to pick up. One that gains you science from water tiles. Obviously, we have access to a lot of water tiles across our empire. So I think that's worth grabbing now. And we are burning through these researches, right? 4 more researches and we'll have access to Era 5. And then another 9 and we have access to the game-winning researches. And we're spending like 1 to 2 turns on a lot of these. So we are booking it toward an ending.
Okay.
At this point. Oh, that's true. We pacified the Hernas and Ragus. Right. I remember that somewhere we had this quest to put influence in the economy ministry, but not in the military ministry. So I just did a little bit of that in the faction, in the Empire plan. I didn't remember why I was doing it, but I remember that there was a reason, and this was the reason. So Ragus now has all that extra population, and definitely a very strong reason to build one of those chapels. We'll go ahead and rush out this chapel for you. It is cool to be able to purchase 3 extra population points.
Yeah.
Turns out anyone can run a cult if they're really devoted to the idea. Oh, good. A roar, a thunder of waves, and the stink of rotting fish, and then the ship just disappeared. A monster has been reported out in the deep blue. Wild-eyed mariners claim it is the size of great ships or even the size of islands. It has been attacked and even wounded, but never killed. A mass of tentacles attached to a great maw. The only good news to have come from these tall tales is that there apparently is only one, but that it is a wanderer and appears anywhere, rising suddenly from the depths to strike and feed. The roving clans call it Muumang. The ardent mages refer to it as a Dirkseri, and it is Gelisbeer to the Morgawr. Whatever its name, stories abound of it, and ships have broken on it. Little is known except for a few scarce facts. First, should it die, it will finally disgorge the tons of wealth it has been ingesting for decades. Second, should any part of it survive, it will regenerate itself. Third, you probably like movie references. So there is a sea monster, last seen in Wervelin. The sea monster is quite. It exists in pretty much every game. Which one's Wervelin? Here's the man now. The sea monster shows up in pretty much every game. It'll just run around and attack ships. It doesn't attack fortresses, so you don't have to worry about that. It's actually pretty tough to fight. It has a difficult thing going on with all these tentacles, and if you don't completely kill it, like the legends say, it does regenerate. In the base game, my experience was that it is extremely not worth the rewards.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it can be worthwhile to get rid of it if it's just like, if you're trying to like wage a naval war and it's in the way. But we're not going to worry about it. Basically, the lure of treasure is not strong enough. It doesn't actually give very good rewards. I believe in the Endless Legend community patch, the amount of stuff that it gives was increased several times over. They were trying to find a value that made it good enough to go hunting, and we may have to investigate that when we are playing with the community patch on.
Also, they'll need a bigger ship. A boat is a different
Amabel,
kind of vessel.
Amabel, you are not focused on the right part of the thing that's happening there. Okay, so the leader of the Silix worries that explorers who went in search of the rare elements needed to grow their finest crystals have been missing for several seasons. They were last sighted at ruins in a neighboring region, but since then the trail has gone cold. He offers a reward if you can help learn what has happened to their people. So, every neutral faction has a quest that they can offer to you while they are assimilated. That sort of like fills in a little bit more character and stuff, and they have their own unique rewards. And sometimes the quest is so good that it by itself is a good reason to assimilate the faction. I don't remember what this one yields, but this is the Harmonite assimilation quest, and we do have the stuff for it, equipped with 2 Harmonite units, which we do already have. Inspect these ruins, which are, unfortunately, frustratingly far away from our army, but we can turn around now that we no longer have to deal with the minor faction here. Yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious to see what we're getting. So our unit's natural health regen is battling the -5 life per turn.
Okay.
Which is why they are not dead yet. Nope, I just want to... Okay, fine. Don't move there. Move here instead. Let's just get back to the parts of the ocean I own and all of these pearls. So many pearls. It is true, we now share a common frontier, and threats are being leveled, which is a little silly considering what we did to their army last time we met. If we wanted to go over there and consume purple, we probably could, but I'm not sure it's worth the effort. And more empire is not always better empire. You absolutely can expand beyond your ability to sort of like exert control over things and just end up in a spot where you are producing less efficiently than you otherwise might. Okay, a formal closing of the borders. Fine. Yep, just like ships. We still had like a fortress or 2 in ocean regions that weren't belonging to us. So yeah, that stuff's getting cleaned up. All right, go get him, Cat's Pod ship. Great job. He gave about as good as he got. That other Cat's Pod ship was at like half health, or that other boarding vessel was at like half health. All right, percentage science boosts for our more developed cities. You are just gathering pearls for the moment. We do need to talk about pearls and our pearl expenditures. Notice Purple has moved an army over here. Our Urkins are set up for maximum economic bonuses right now.
Mm-hmm.
If we want to fight, it might take us a couple of turns to sort of like re-maneuver things. So that is a thing to keep an eye on. We are not necessarily in a good position to fight at the moment. All right, I'm going to try to build. So we're working hard on the population. We're going to try to build enough burrows to level up the docks here, because we have quite a lot of water tiles that would really benefit from that. And then we'll transfer back into building science buildings there. Manure, of course. Let's see here. Okay, Manure does not have enough population to build another burrow. We will next turn. But this seems like a good moment to sort of scale off and grab some of these really high-value food buildings. And notice these things are so expensive that even in Manure, they're taking some real number of turns. Let's force those forward a little bit. Buildings do get really, really expensive in these eras. And I think we're doing food buildings here in the capital as well. So, like, there's this one, which is plus 25% food, versus this one, which is plus 3 food on every food tile. Honestly, hothouses is probably the better value in both of these cities, because they both have sort of sprawled out and gained a lot of tiles. And our spy continues to level up. I have no idea what to do with our spy. At this point, I don't believe that it is valuable to spy on purple. I think we've got purple sort of under control. In theory, harassing pink is the best thing we could do, probably. Like, if we wanted to just, like, fuck with their science output or something, we will at least wait until infiltration level 5. We'll do the highest level version of that. But it's not super meaningful because we're ahead. Like, espionage is the thing that is at its best when you are behind and looking for a catch-up.
Now, pink is the one you have the spot on, right?
Yes.
Is there an espionage thing that, because you buy the spot off with influence, is there an espionage thing that decreases influence production or something?
No, not really.
Okay.
If I had our spy in a city that was more important to them, we could, like, mess with their industry production there, or decrease the populations, like terrorist attacks, I guess, or target their governor, send their governor back to the academy, to make them lose what we assume are some pretty large bonuses. But unfortunately, we are just kind of like in a garbage city over here. So I guess one thing that we could do, one thing that might be really valuable, is getting vision over all their stuff and then using that vision to relocate the spy.
Okay.
Steel vision does not give vision from cities until level 5, so we'll go to level 5, we'll do a steel vision, and then we'll use that vision to relocate the spy into their capital, maybe, where we can maybe put the boot to them a little bit harder. Speaking of governors, we just gained 2 new cities, so we should probably be trying to make sure that we have some governors for those cities. Industry efficiency and science boost is a pretty cool pair of capacities for a governor. This obviously is a Mycera governor, specialized polyp 2D. Plus food from food terrain. Lowered food consumption from citizens. Means there's a lot more food to grow new citizens. Honestly, you know what? You're not a bad fit. Welcome aboard. Specialized polyp 2D. You get to go to Randair because the other new city cannot have food come from its tiles. And really, I should have thought about this, and we should have put a governor in place and then bought out all those buildings, because the governor would have gotten experience for all those buildings finishing.
Yeah.
That's a smallish error. Okay, but everything's going well. I think we're like just in good shape here. We have managed to wrest control of the dangerous Urkins away from purple. I think purple is like extremely on the back foot. If we go to the status screens, we may be able to confirm this. So notice pink has the highest overall score by a huge margin. They have like almost double our score. This game's score mechanics do not do a good job of judging who is in position to win. They dramatically overvalue just like raw number of tiles and not so much like the advancement or efficiency of use of those tiles. And they dramatically overvalue some military stats, in particular health. Health is given a lot of value. And you'll see their military score is also insanely high, in part because Draken units naturally have very high health.
Okay.
So we don't need to worry about that stuff so much. But there are some things that are legitimately interesting to look at here. The fact that we're keeping up with them on population despite having fewer regions. We are beating everybody on research fairly solidly. We're only 4 ahead of them, but you can see we're getting like a research a turn lately, and that's going to continue for a little while. In part because of the stockpile that we fired. It just dropped a large amount of science on top of our research pile. Our total food generation is...
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah. This gap is only going to get greater. We are at a point in the game where realistically, there are 2 people who can win this game. And Pink's ability to win this game is entirely reliant on them eliminating us with their military. So if they don't start doing that pretty soon, they're out. And probably my guess is they will not find a way to do that. Not to say that it's resolved or anything, but this is the direction things are heading. So that's going to be it for us for today. Thank you all so much for watching. When you come back next time, our engines are really starting to take off. I think we're going to see our values like really, really exploding over the course of the next couple of episodes. And I don't think there's that much left in this game.
Okay.
So come back next time to watch all the numbers go up, everybody's favorite thing. And we'll see you then.